Smackdown starts off with Randy Orton. He gets on the microphone. He basically calls out Triple H. He basically says that Triple H is trying to protect Kevin Owens. Randy Orton wants to get his hands on Kevin Owens, but he can't due to the suspension that Triple H gave to Kevin Owens. And Randy keeps thinking it's to protect Kevin Owens. Triple H ends up admitting that it's to protect Randy. He goes on a tangent about, how ruthless KO is, and talked about what KO used to be, and talked about how then he trusts Cody and Randy, and how from Kevin Owens' perspective that they betrayed him and not the other way around. Then Randy ended up bringing up how they used to be wrestlers, and how would Triple H respond if he was in Randy Orton's situation. Triple H basically ends up giving him the match at Crown Jewel. So it's official that we're going to get Kevin Owens versus Randy at Crown Jewel, which I am very excited about. Very interested to see how they play that out, because Kevin Owens and Randy are two of the most protected people in the company. Now, to be fair, technically speaking, I guess Kevin Owens is technically a heel now, so I guess he won't be as protected, because typically it's baby faces that are protected. So maybe Randy Orton would just win the match, but we'll see how the match plays out. I'm excited for the match. I'm just very interested to see how the match will actually play out. But nonetheless, I'm excited for the match. We end up getting Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. We end up getting the 7 match between them, with LA Knight being the special guest referee. This match played out exactly how we all thought it was going to play out. Of course, the shenanigans started to happen where LA Knight ended up missing his count. Carmelo got Andrade pinned, but he ended up missing the count. Later in the match, Carmelo accidentally kicked LA Knight, which made LA Knight mad, and he attacked everyone, which ended up leading to a disqualification. No one ended up winning, of course. Then later in the show, Nick Aldis addressed LA Knight, telling him that it's going to be a triple threat match at Crown Jewel, which we all kind of expected. So, Crown Jewel, triple threat match for the U.S. title. Most likely, I'm assuming LA Knight will win that match. I am very curious to see what's next for LA Knight after Crown Jewel, because he doesn't have many opponents that he can face in terms of the mid card outside of Carmelo and Andrade, and you can't just keep spamming that. So unless we're going back to Santos Escobar, it's like it gets very tricky in that men's mid card. So very interested to see how long they can drag this title reign out, because I see him losing possibly at Mania. I don't see no other place he would lose it at due to his popularity and stuff, but I just don't know how far you can stretch it out. But Crown Jewel triple threat, I'm excited for the match. It's unfortunate that it had to get interfered. The 7 match had to get interfered, but we all knew it was coming once LA Knight got interjected into the as special guest referee. We end up getting a quick segment with Nia Jax, Tiffany, Stratton, where Tiffany was trying to make up for last week for not being on the show, because it was a match that Naomi was in, but Nia ended up putting Candice LeRae in the match instead of Tiffany Stratton. So it looks like they was playing an angle where Candice LeRae could potentially be a replacement of Tiffany Stratton due to Nia Jax not trusting Tiffany. But in the match, Candice LeRae ended up losing the match, which kind of bothered me to a degree, because it was kind of head scratching. Because I understand Naomi, they want to build Naomi strong, because I think they still gotta have that match between Naomi and Nia Jax, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I understand that. But I thought they was finna play the angle of Nia potentially replacing Tiffany Stratton, which leads to Tiffany Stratton becoming a babyface. But due to her losing, there's really no reason to do that, since technically speaking, Candice LeRae failed Nia Jax, because she would want Candice LeRae to beat Naomi instead of losing. So I don't know what the angle they're playing with Candice LeRae. I don't know if it's to replace Tiffany Stratton as a story, or it's just a little thing just to get them on TV, and then they still play the whole buddy thing with Nia and Tiffany. I don't think she's gonna cash in at Crown Jewel. I just don't think it's time. I don't think it's been built up enough. I'm ready for her to cash in, but I don't think it's time for her to cash in. But it would be very interesting to see how they play up on the Go Home show to Crown Jewel. Now we end up getting Cody Rhodes, Gunther. They have a promo segment. They have their face-to-face. Not going to really speak too much on this promo. The premise of this promo is basically Gunther calling out Cody for being basically the ultimate corporate guy who basically isn't being his true self, while Gunther is the complete opposite of basically being the opposite of what Cody Rhodes is, basically. That's basically the premise of this promo. But towards the end of the promo, Cody Rhodes basically crashes out, attacks Gunther, but then Ludwig Kaiser ends up coming in to help Gunther, and they end up basically double teaming Cody Rhodes, standing tall until Randy Orton ended up coming out for the save. Overall, I'm not gonna speak too much on this segment. Like I'm interested in the match. The feud itself, to be fair, it's not really their fault. It's just that we just know this feud is filler. But to be fair, Crown Jewel has always been a filler thing. It's never been that important in WWE history. So it's something that I'm not really that mad about, for the most part. So it was, the promo itself was good, but it was hard for me to really get invested because the whole time I'm just thinking like, this is so stupid. I'm just thinking it's stupid the whole time because I know this doesn't matter. But overall, it was a good promo segment, but I just couldn't really get invested into it because I just know that this doesn't matter in the end. But Crown Jewel has always been like that. Now we end up getting an announcement of a segment between the three general managers between NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, and they announced basically that Jade and Bianca will be defending their women's tag team titles in a fatal four-way tag team match, which is very interesting. Now, I have some PTSD from predicting Jade and Bianca in tag team multi-woman matches because every time they're in a match like this, they typically lose. I don't see them losing, but based off history, they lose these matches for whatever reason. So, now to be fair, I think it only happened once, but still. So, just saying, I it'll be interesting to see what I predict. That prediction video will be coming out next week, but it is very interesting that they put all four of these tag teams in a match just to put them on Crown Jewel. But nonetheless, it should be a very good match nonetheless. Now we end up getting DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns, number one contendership match for the WWE Tag Team titles. This was a really good match, really good match. But towards the end of the match, Motor City Machine Guns ends up picking up the victory. After the match, though, the Bloodline ends up coming out, and it starts off with Solo. Nick Aldis was in the ring as well. Solo ends up talking on the microphone, ends up basically coming out to say that he wants a tag match tonight. He wants them to he wants a tag match. Yeah, he wants a tag match to face them tonight. Nick Aldis basically ends up declining it, ends up saying that's unfair, that they just fought, that it doesn't make sense for them to fight. But Motor City Machine Guns, being the baby faces that typical baby faces do, they end up accepting the match anyway. Then end up transitioning into the match, and this match played out completely different than I thought it was. Everything that happened in this match, I did not think was going to happen in this match. They completely surprised me. During the match, towards the end of the match, you get out of nowhere, Jimmy Uso ends up coming out and ends up attack Solos and attack Jacob Fatu. But eventually Solo and Jacob Fatu ends up, getting the numbers game, ends up overpowering Jimmy. Then you hear Roman Reigns theme music. It hits. He comes out and immediately takes out Solo and Jacob Fatu. Then it leads to Jacob Fatu and Solo, Roman, and Jimmy all brawling into the backstage. Then it gets to the moment where it's just now an equal playing field between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Bloodline, the Tonga brothers, and the ref. You get the typical the typical ref bump. I'm losing track of what happened in the match. Get the typical ref bump in a Bloodline match. Then out of nowhere, it gets to a moment where it's pointing to Tonga Loa. They're getting steel chairs because the ref is out, so they can do whatever. But then as they're getting steel chairs, you see a guy in another black hoodie, and we all know who it is. It is none other than Yeet himself, Jey Uso. He ends up coming out and ends up taking out Tonga Loa, get to the ring, takes out Tama Tonga as well. Motor City Machine Guns take advantage, and they are now your new WWE World Tag Team Champs. This is great. This is very interesting. This is something I've been wanting for a while. I have been saying that I've been wanting the Judgment Day and the Bloodline to lose their titles. Now, I've been enjoying the Bloodline more than the Judgment Day because they at least defend their titles. But this is great. This is great. Hopefully, WWE pulls the trigger on the Judgment Day losing their titles now. Because if we're being honest, the Bloodline deserves their titles way more than Judgment Day. So hopefully, after the whole tournament is done on Raw, they do the same thing on Raw and have Judgment Day lose. Because they need to lose their titles, like, immediately. I understand why they pulled the trigger on this because it's the Motor City Machine Guns. They're a new tag team. But I don't care. Pull the trigger on someone on Raw. I don't care who it is. It could be Authors of Pain for all I care. Well, I think they just lost, but I don't care. Please let them lose. But this was great. But after the match, though, it's Jay in the ring. He's standing there. Then you get Jimmy Uso. He comes out. He slowly walks to the ring. Him and Jimmy are having a little stare down. Jimmy is mumbling some words, and then he slowly walks towards Jay, and then they end up hugging it out, getting that big pop. This was a very great moment. And then you end up seeing Roman Reigns comes out. He ends up standing at the top of the entrance ramp, just staring at them, hugging it out. And a lot of people on the internet was kind of mad, was like, this is too soon. It's rushed. No, it's not. It's not rushed. First of all, if they're going to build up towards this Bloodline versus Bloodline thing, we don't have much time. Like, Survivor Series is in November. It's already late October. They gotta push this story. And number two, he hugged Jimmy. He's cool with Jimmy of all people. His problem was never Jimmy Uso. His problem was always Roman. And you can easily tell that after they stopped hugging, Jay still had a problem. He still has a problem with Roman because once he stopped hugging Jimmy, he kind of had like his demeanor changed. He wasn't his demeanor, his entire body language completely changed. So the problem isn't with Jimmy. It's going to be, is Roman going to be able to get Jay on his side? Is Jay going to be able to forgive Roman? That's the story they got to tell. This overall, this SmackDown, I'm going to be honest. It's good, but to be honest, the Bloodline saved it. The Bloodline, the tag team stuff saved it. Everything else, it was cool. It was cool. But overall, this was a good episode. You guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.